Today's program is brought to you by pennystockprofessor.com. For all the best OTCBB stock picks, sign up at pennystockprofessor.com.
Thank you for tuning in to another TBC Daily News Update. I'm Brandon Vincent.
And I'm Angelina Soriano.
In today's U.S. news, President Barack Obama is expected to propose new limits on the size and risk taken by our country's banks, marking the administration's latest assault on Wall Street and what could mark a return, at least in spirit, to some of the curbs put on finances in the Great Depression. The past decade, we saw widespread consolidation among large financial institutions to create huge banking titans. If Congress approves the proposal, the White House plan could permanently impose government constraints on the size and nature of banking. Mr. Obama's proposal is expected to include new scale restrictions on the size of the country's largest financial institutions. The goal would be to stop banks from becoming so large that they put the broader economy at risk, and to also prevent banks from becoming so large that they distort the normal competitive forces. It couldn't be learned what the precise limits the White House will endorse or whether Mr. Obama will spell out the exact limits. Mr. Obama is also expected to endorse for the first time publicly, which would place the restriction on the proprietary trading done by commercial banks, essentially limiting the way banks bet with their own capital. Administration officials say that they want to place firewalls between different divisions of financial companies to ensure banks don't indirectly subsidize speculative trading through their other subsidiaries that hold federally insured deposits. The proposal could have the biggest effect on the Bank of America Corporation, Wells Fargo and Company, and JP Morgan and Company, which control a large amount of U.S. deposits, as well as Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and Citigroup Incorporated, which have a large presence on Wall Street.
In today's international news, the German economy minister Rainer Brudel said slashing feed-in tariffs for the solar industry by 16 to 17% is feasible, dealing a blow to the sector, which is still hoping for smaller cuts. Shares in German solar companies extended losses on the news, with Qcells, SolarWorld, Conergy, SMA Solar, and Phoenix Solar down 1.2 to 3.8%. Brudel's comments came less than a week after Reuters cited sources as saying that such cuts were for April, sending solar stocks around the globe lower on fears that demands in Germany that the biggest solar market would fall. Markets have been awaiting plans by the German government to cut the industry feed-in tariffs, but so far hoped for cuts of about 5 to 10%. A double-digit reduction in solar feed-in tariffs in the middle of 2010 would ruin many German firms and end Germany's worldwide leadership in solar technology, Germany's BSW Solar Industry Association said. But investors' appetite for shares in the once fast-growing solar sector has been curbed already by oversupply of cells and modules, as well as tight credit conditions, which have thrown the sector into a prolonged crisis.
And now for today's financial news. Stocks tumbled Thursday as a strong dollar and concerns about China's bank lending practices zapped commodity prices and shares, sparking a broader sell-off. Investors also considered the latest jobless claims report and Goldman Sachs' better-than-expected profit report. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 215 points, or 2%, in almost 2.5 hours into the session. The S&P 500 fell 21 points, or 1.9%, while the Nasdaq Composite lost 30 points, or about 1.3%. Reports Thursday said China had asked banks to slow down the pace of lending this year in an attempt to get ahead of inflation.
In fashion news, rumors surfaced that Victoria's Secret was through with Marissa Miller. However, Victoria's Secret and Miller's rep says she still soars the skies in angel wings. The rumor regarding Marissa Miller and Victoria's Secret parting ways is unfolded and untrue. The president and chief marketing officer of Victoria's Secret said Miller, who wore the diamond bra in the Victoria's Secret fashion show in December, is in negotiation with the brand for a 2010 contract, which could be where the rumors began.
President Barack Obama expressed support for scaling back a health bill to core elements, the first indication that the White House might be backing away from the type of broader overhaul that Congress had been working on. Mr. Obama told ABC News that lawmakers should move quickly to coalesce around parts of the health care bill that both parties can agree on, core elements that include insurance reform. The ABC interview represented Mr. Obama's first public comments on the Republican victory of the race for a Senate seat in Massachusetts. The election deprived Democrats of the 60 votes they needed in order to overcome a Republican filibuster and pass health care legislation in the Senate. Some Democrats had earlier discussed rushing the health bill through the Senate before Republican Scott Brown took his seat, but Mr. Obama had rejected that option. House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer also suggested that a scaled-back bill could be in the works, saying that lawmakers could do it in an individual new bill. White House spokesman said that the administration isn't backtracking on health care. Today's top 10 volume trading stocks as of noon are as follows. Cord Blood America Incorporated, CBAI, with 256 million shares. Zevitech Incorporated, ZVTK, with 82 million shares. Unico Incorporated, UNCO, with 60 million shares. Cyberlux Corporation, CYBL, with 39 million shares. Greenshift Corporation, GERS, with 32 million shares. Metaphile International Incorporated, MDFI, with 26 million shares. Camelot Entertainment Group Incorporated, CMGR, with 16 million shares. MedClean Technologies Incorporated, MCLN, with 15 million shares. Luminol Incorporated, UNLU, with 12 million shares. And PTS Incorporated, PTSH, with 12 million shares.
In entertainment news, Conan O'Brien and NBC worked out their final conflict and have reached a $45 million settlement, and we've learned it's a sweeter deal for Conan than anyone thought. Network sources tell TMZ the mitigation clause was taken off the table. In translation, Conan will get a severance of $32.5 million, regardless of whether he gets another hosting job. NBC will pay $7.5 million to Conan's Tonight Show. In addition, NBC will pay a whopping $4.5 million to the executive producer. Conan has agreed he will not take another hosting job till September at the earliest. Conan's last show was Friday. We're told NBC hasn't decided who will replace Conan for the period between now and the Winter Olympics.
In today's green news, a collapsible portable wind turbine that you can take with you anywhere and gather up electricity from a strong breeze. According to EcoFriend, this concept from Marcos Madia, Sergio Ohashi, and Juan Panado is intended to be a compact solution to be used in the construction at places where there is no electric service available. The generator can also be used to replace the electric service in small housing. But it's really unlikely that this would be a useful application for those particular purposes. Here are a few things that are holding back this prototype. A, it wouldn't generate enough power to replace the grid power. It's made of ultralight materials like aluminum and carbon fiber, but it doesn't have a way to drive its legs into the ground for stability. But the legs do look like they have great services for adding solar cells as an extra little boost for energy generation. The designers have the right product features, but the wrong intentions. With the right types of fasteners for the feet of this turbine, this could be put to several great uses. For example, the lightweight and collapsible design make it perfect for backpacking trips in windy areas, easily attaching to a camp pack for camping, and then setting up atop a boulder somewhere to generate charge for camping lights. It could also be great for boating, attaching it to the boat for powering navigation equipment. You can even use it as an events tool, like for festivals or tailgating parties, just by pulling it out of your car, unfolding it, and strapping it on top of the roof. The idea itself for a lightweight, compact, and sturdy wind turbine is great, as long as it's put to the appropriate use. The main features that would help shift this design into high gear are ways to fasten it to various surfaces. The designers need to go back to the drawing board to fix some things, but they don't have to scrap the whole idea. It still seems like a very nice project.
Thank you for tuning in to another TBC Daily News Update. I'm Brandon Vincent.
And I'm Angelina Soriano.